On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
Domestic discipline, in a nutshell, is me and Courtney are married, and Courtney and I are vibing, but Courtney knows that she can get on one sometimes, and we sit down and say, when you get on one, and after we go through the process, and I use the safe word, banana split, and you still stay on one after I say banana split. You heard me say banana split. I acknowledge you heard me say banana split, and you stay on one. Well, then it's time for the domestic discipline. And it is exactly what it sounds like. Lay across the knee and on our ass. It's actual spanking. I am not kidding.
Kevin, I have a question.
Sure.
Because I do see that where the 20-year-olds are wanting to learn more and are looking to other resources besides their mother. However, us in our 30s that looked at, our parents that taught us to be independent and do all that. And we looked to that like they were our guiding light and guided us in a wrong path. But yet these 20-year-olds now are like, no. So what is the change or the difference of them and us, where we look to them, our older generation that steered a lot of us the completely wrong path. But there's not a lot of women of my age that are teaching 20-year-olds what not to do. However, they are knowing what not to do and not to listen to the bitterness of the 30 and 40-year-olds.
I got it. Because before Corona, y'all was in the same club. That was competition. See, Generation X was never in the club with Silent Generation. That just didn't happen. The old people went to the club, went to Trevis, and the young folks went to the Palladium. And those two never met. But women, your generation you're talking about, in the 30s, and the 20-somethings are in the same club. Same environment, same dating apps, because you're competing for the same men. So they're looking and saying, why I'm 24 and you 34. Why do I need to listen to your 34-year-old self if you in the same damn club with me? That's why they're looking past and not even going to y'all, because y'all are competing for the same men. I think the way women in the 30s are going to start getting the message is when women like yourself in your 30s start winning after losing. That's what's going to be the tipping point, in my opinion. The younger folks, they got time and they'll get better. My generation, it's pretty much dead, done for. But the women. I mean, and here's the thing: I don't begrudge them, because unlike a man, women don't get a choice to have 3 different lives. Biologically, things are different. But I'm more concerned with what happens to the women who between 18 and 35 may have made the decisions that were put into us by culture, mainstream media, and all other kind of stuff, and then openly decided to go back to the things that worked for the generations before us, to really live by those things and end up having a better second half than the first half. That is going to make a bigger impact, because that's a choice that women can make. You can choose to either stay on the path you're going or back up and go down a new road. I think that's where all the possibility really comes from for us,
though.
Hey, Kev, go ahead.
Go ahead, JR.
Hey, Kev, I got a question. Before you hopped on, we was talking about the woman's tongue. An example that I used was my sister just having no respect for the man. And I talked about how men do not have to give respect in order to receive respect, that men should just give respect off GP. And I was just kind of just blown, because like my sister felt the need that she not only tried to disrespect me, but when my grandfather was in the house and said he didn't want no yelling in the house, she just totally disregarded him. And my concern is that even in marriages, like relationships, and just even as strangers, that women feel that it's okay to disrespect a man. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna use it a couple of ways and tie it into something I heard earlier. If we can't hold anybody accountable that we are directly tied to, we can't have a community. You used to get a whooping by Mr. Brown if Mr. Brown saw you doing something wrong because you were accountable to the community, not just your mama and daddy. And you leave that sitting right there. The women today don't fear what Sean Connery told Barbara Walters. There are times when the best course of action is to slap a woman. That's what Sean Connery said. It's still on YouTube right now. Go look at it. And Barbara Walters was like, thought he was going to recant his statement, and he doubled down. And he said, let me explain what I mean. He's like, women have a way of not knowing how to let things go. You can give up the argument. You can let it go. They can know they've won. There's nothing else to be gained, and they will continue to push and push and push. And he said, at that point, once you've exhausted all other options, then a slap becomes a good option. And you only have to do it once. Shahrazad Ali tried to say that stuff, and it set the black community on fire. Why is this? Because between the men on this platform right now, if we were in public, we have to moderate what we say, whether we know each other or not, because there's a low-level threat of violence and aggression between all men. Fuck YouTube, fuck degrees, fuck money. You cross a certain line with a man, we're going to have to shoot the fair one. We know that. You can be in a wheelchair, you can be on a crutch, whatever. You can be special. You got to do that. But see, there is no low-level threat of violence between women and men today. Women are allowed to be verbally disrespectful beyond the point of reason because there's no consequence, because they don't fear the repercussion. So listening to that, and this is why anybody familiar with the concept of domestic discipline?
No, explain it for us.
Domestic discipline in a nutshell is me and Courtney are married, and Courtney and I are vibing, but Courtney knows that she can get on one sometimes. And we sit down and say, when you get on one, and after we go through the process, and I use the safe word, banana split, and you still stay on one after I say banana split. You heard me say banana split. I acknowledge you heard me say banana split, and you stay on one. Well, then it's time for the domestic discipline. And it is exactly what it sounds like. Lay across the knee and on our ass. It's actual spanking. I am not kidding. I am not kidding. And what I will do is I will put the links to the women who teach this stuff. And this has been talked about in sectors of the manosphere. It's adult correction.
I've never heard of that before in my entire life.
I hadn't heard of it until I got here on YouTube, but I'd heard of the concept, but I didn't hear it that way. And the thing is, it's nonviolent. And here's the point. Can you imagine being a grown woman and you got to hear banana split and you know you should have stopped and you kept on going, and then you gotta and the woman has to volunteer for this. She volunteers to do this. It's not coerced, and it doesn't rise to the point of respect. You lay down, get the paddle out. All right, now, Courtney, you know, banana split, and you just think about the psychological thing. Like, I am 34 years old, and I'm having to get swatted or hit with my hand. and who teaches this? Women teach other women. What was that woman's name? I'm gonna put her name down in the comment section, and I want you guys to understand the spirit in which it was saying, because this can get really misinterpreted.
Yeah, we get you. We adults.
But the thing is, the notion is that women know that the power of life and death resides in the tongue, and you use that instead of using it for our benefit, turning it against your men to the point to where you should not have to fear the venom that's potentially in the tongue of your women. Your enemy should have to fear that, not the men who share your crest.